I really think we could learn a lot from both having students moving, not just Erasmus, but actually, spending the time they wish to spend. Why not? It's possible through all this data and technology. It shouldn't be a problem. Also tutors, and I think tutors should be able to move from one college to another, from country to another, and take part in making decisions. Mainly, I say this, but I've written about this in my book as well, that we human beings, we have a tendency, I don't know why, it seems to be a failing that we have, all of us up to a point, where when we join together with like-minded people, we convince ourselves that we are completely right. In other words, you could be in a madhouse, and as long as you're mad, everything is fine. If you have the same madness at least. You'll all agree that you're perfectly right and the people who are keeping you there should never do so, and so on. Maybe it's true. But if you get in somebody else, come on, why are you doing it this way? It seems very strange. There's actually, how am I doing for time, by the way? Okay, I'm halfway. Okay. There is, I don't know if you know about this, it was done in the USA, I can't remember the name of it, but they had a group of people coming in from the street. I'm sure some of you know this. It explains what I'm trying to say. A guy in a white coat says this is part of an educational program, and we'd like you to sit down here, and if the person answers the question wrongly, you give them an electric shock. Have you heard it? Some have heard of it, right? Mm-hmm. About 90% of these people just taken in from the street gave electric shocks that would kill. Interesting. So we have it in us, all of us, more or less, give or take, to do that. Mm-hmm. They did it again 10 years later, with two guys in white coats. So the one guy says exactly the same thing. Of course, the people, it's not that well known a thing, so they didn't know about it. The other guy says, you can't do that. Well, what if, come on, it's dangerous. And it was under 10% who then gave this deadly, perhaps almost nobody. So having different opinions must be a cornerstone, surely, of any kind of system. Yeah, okay, this was the credit card. You get when you finish, you get your degree. And this business about not being able to teach, you have to teach by example. You have to actually mean it somehow or other. Doesn't mean to say that you always have to produce work. I don't think it's only that, but you have to somehow mean it. And I think students know. They know who means it and who doesn't. Whether you really are, whether it's just something you're saying. And I put in Gilbert and George in the last one because I have a great respect for them. They certainly meant it. They spent almost all their money exhibiting in Russia and in China in the 80s, I think, where they got no backing whatsoever from the British Council. So you better mean it when you do that. You teach by presence because you're sitting at lunch. Well, I noticed most of my colleagues sit at lunch together, but they don't sit with the students, actually. So, in the Royal College, they didn't sit with the students either, actually. But at Goldsmiths, they did. You also learn that the way you advance in art, the way you I don't like the word advance either, I take that back, that's also progress, but the way you move is not orderly. It's not A, then B, then C, then D. I have a colleague who we discuss often, and I have great respect for her, and I think she has for me too, but we don't agree. She says, but first they must learn how to draw, must draw cups, they must draw this, they must draw that. And then I say, no, by the time they get to the point, now after 5 years, now please be free artist, you can do it now. I don't think it's possible. Mind you, when we work together, somehow there's a nice balance. But I think one of the most tragic students I ever met was a lady around 40 who had she could really draw well in a classical sense, but she wanted to do more. If she'd only not wanted to do more, she'd have been tremendously happy. But she wanted to get further. And she asked me, what can I do? And I said, you know what the problem is? You shouldn't be asking me. The problem is that you have lived your whole life doing what tutors tell you to do, and you do it very well. It's a task, if you like, that you eventually do well. Now you've got to do your own, and she couldn't actually. But of course, young people can jump in at a very high level, or a level of sophistication. Of course they can. Sometimes when the same colleague of mine says, yes, but you know, they're only 20, they don't know what they're doing. I think, no, they don't know what they're doing. They've been around half the world. They can zoom around the internet 10,000 times faster than you can, but they don't know what they're doing. Great, you know, I don't believe it. And it's the same. It's this idea that, no, but you put actually a group of people, if you treat them in that way, whatever they are, if we were all colleagues, you know, staff all around my age, we'd all act like kids if we were treated that way. And here, I come from now a university. And universities and art colleges are art schools. They ran parallel, but they didn't do the same thing. Next. And then came Mrs. Thatcher. I upgrade all these pathetic little places that are not universities. First, they were called a polytechnical college. Then there were the university colleges, and then suddenly there were loads of universities ever. It's like ours, you know, there are loads of them in the end, here, there, and everywhere. And we became a faculty. How was it? Yeah, we ended up, then slowly, you know, now we're an institute within a faculty. And I wonder what the next step is. So, and then you get all these rules telling you how to be, you know, continually dishing out pieces of paper saying, what did you think of the lecture, and give me a mark, and so on. And yeah, some of it's useful, but much of it is a waste of time. So to end up, and then comes this statement, Craig Martin, this is the crux of what he is worried about, and a lot of people of that time, and of course it would be swearing in the church. Do you say that? In Norway they say that. Swearing in the church, because of course just about all these places are run by PhDs now. And, but the idea is that something along the line, it couldn't be a worse situation, is what we say. And ours too, we have lots of PhDs, and yes, they are gaining more and more power, and yes, they are virtually running it, and it's this idea that somehow art is somewhere else. I think it can flirt with this, and I think, don't get me wrong, I believe in theory, I believe also in the use of, you know, the mixture or the meeting point of philosophy and actually making. But at the same time, we have to be a little bit careful. So I agree a little bit with this. I don't mind PhDs actually, but I see something of the point.